Yes. Good evening, students. Hello, I'm here, Aysha, your faculty, your instructor for the course here. Okay. Shashi is asking. Shashi is number 10. And thank you, Shashi, for the nice things you have said about the course. Super Deluxe. Is it the same movie which is made in Hindi as Lakshmi Bomb? I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure. And I haven't yet watched it. I haven't yet watched Super Deluxe. So I will watch the movie now that you have recommended it so highly. I think it's available. Is it? Is it available? It is there on the Google. So I'll try to watch it. Okay, because there are so many things to read and write and watch, so many movies to watch. Sometimes we miss out on, yeah. So thanks for bringing that to my attention. Thank you. Johnson Samuel is asking, on what parameter should we appreciate any film? Well, it's a um, well, you see, you have to separate bad from good. You should know what is good and what is bad. For instance, if we think that just because a movie has to hit numbers and a couple of great action scenes and it is a great film, then then we cannot have any conversation about appreciating films. So, what I would suggest, Johnson, if you are new to this area and you want to know what is film appreciation, I think what you should do is watch a couple of movies from all possible languages, not just your own. I don't know from what is your mother tongue and which language you're most comfortable with. But I would suggest watch a bunch of Bengali movies, watch a bunch of Tamil movies, watch Hindi movies, old Tamil movies, old Malayalam movies, perhaps. Watch films from Germany and Italy and France, not just Hollywood, okay? And then see what you think of it. You decide for yourself what you like. If you think that, I just want entertainment, I want 2.5 hours of non-stop entertainment with lots of pretty faces and song and dance, etc. Then we cannot talk about film appreciation. That is like watching films for entertainment. So fair enough. You want that, you do that. But if you want to watch film, if you are into film appreciation, you have to first know what is good cinema. And therefore, this course exists because the other day I was reading something on British New Wave. I think I've done British New Wave in this course. It is phenomenal. It changes your worldview. If you watch a movie like Blow Up, which was a 60s movie, okay, or Saturday Night, Sunday Morning, or Look Back in Anger, they change your worldview. Okay, you understand a very new kind of cinema, new kind of language of cinema. Okay, the other day I was also watching Godard's Breathless and also Truffau's uh, Fahrenheit 451. Okay, so that is Truffaut. It is an amazing movie. And you understand the quality of acting, the way camera moves or doesn't move, the way people talk, okay, the editing and all. So and also I think one parameter for me of a good movie is that where the visuals are strong, and by that I don't mean just having a lot of pretty things to look at, but visually the film tells a story. That is important. But also that a movie shouldn't explain to me everything. That look, now he's a good man, so therefore whenever he comes there would be a particular kind of music, and she is a good girl, she will always wear very traditional clothes, therefore I have to think of her as a good girl. Okay, just because and somebody is a villain, so he will be wearing black leather jacket and dark glasses and will be sitting in a den. I don't want these kinds of easy stereotypes. First rule of thumb, that is for me, is that film should avoid cliches and stereotypes, okay, and give us something new and give us something to think about. That is important. So this is one parameter. Shri Hari is asking, do we need to bring a change in people's perception of films? Yes, that's what I was saying. Films are beyond entertainment. Absolutely. Films are beyond entertainment. Films leave a lot of impression on people. Okay, create a lot of impression on people. Filmmakers, I think it's their responsibility. If they can't make smart films, at least they should have something to they should tell us something in the way that it changes people's perception and mindsets. It's high time. Okay, so Dheer is asking, song and dance routines only popular in Indian mainstream cinema. Okay, how do you account for their recent popularity in other films? In which films? I don't know. In Indian mainstream films. So because we like, because our cinematic tradition comes from theater, and generally, let's go to our old theater, and our dramas, and they used to have lots of songs and dances. But gradually, it's changing, and you will find in all languages uh, songs and dances. At least the kinds of dances we used to have earlier, that's changing. So thank God for that. Okay. To understand acting and cinema from the beginning, which books should I read? Okay. So if you want to read, then I would suggest, give me a moment. Yeah. There's a book called Oxford Handbook of Film Studies. Yeah, Oxford Handbook of Film Studies. It's by John Hill and Pamela Church Gibson. It's a great book. It tells you a lot about. So it has film theory. So this is, I think, Vikas's question, that acting and cinema from the beginning. So that is a good book, Oxford Handbook of Film Studies. Now, okay, you are asking, it's not the horror movie that was Super Deluxe, is a 2019 Tamil movie. I would highly recommend this movie. Fine, I will watch it. Okay, Vijay Sethupathi movie. Okay, fine, I will watch it. Thank you. Okay, I have a question from Charju Bhattacharya. Slice of life is a literary genre. Can it be considered under drama? Okay, can it be considered as a part of French New Wave? Well, you see, slice of life is not strictly speaking literary genre. Literature came before cinema, so therefore we associate realism and slice of life and words like verisimilitude with literature, but cinema also has verisimilitude and realism and whatnot. And the way I understand it, it all started with Italian neorealism that preceded French New Wave. So Italian neorealism was a phenomenon of the 40s, okay, immediately after the Second World War. And I recommend that you watch this movie called The Bicycle Thieves. Many of our greatest filmmakers, particularly Satyajit Ray and Bimal Roy, they were hugely inspired by The Bicycle Thieves, and that's how the entire concept of realism in cinema started. So yes, it is a very important integral part of it. And just now I was talking about I was talking about British New Wave and British New Wave films. Some of the films that if you watch them, for example, Look Back in Anger and all, they're all about, it's very strong sense of realism and slice of life, very gritty, very ugly side of life, slice of life. So yes, so French New Wave happened much later, and yeah, it also presented a slice of life in a very stylized way. So Abhay is asking, I am an English literature student. How can I implement? Oh, you can implement a lot. For example, all the theories. All the theories that, for example, if you're studying gender or post-colonialism or feminist theories, so these things you study in English literature, right? You can apply that to cinema. I mean, cinema is a much recent art. I mean, a very new, quite a recent art, and literature has been in existence forever. So people have been thinking about ways of approaching literature. So you generally we employ the same ideas. So we have theories of semiotics in literature, and we have semiotics of cinema. So yes, if you know literature, then you can approach and appreciate films much better. And can you name some e-books which are available? Yes, Oxford Handbook of Film Studies is available online, I think. Yes, so it will. It will. But does it cover this course? I'm not too sure. But there are lots and lots of books which are there and which I have given in the course also. At the end of the course, I keep mentioning. I mean, after there are instances when I talk about what books to read, and at the end of the course also there is a list of books. Otherwise, if it's not there for some reason, the slide got deleted, what I will do is I will send you a mail by within a week with a recommended or suggested reading. I hope that would be okay. So yes, I think Vikas, I have already responded to you. Which books to read and understand acting and Indian cinema. So my Hindi is good, but you can also tell me English books. Vikas, I am not too sure which books are there in Hindi, especially on the theories of cinema. But I am very sure that the translations of the books that I have been talking about, they are available. I'm sorry, I would not. I am a Hindi speaker. Okay, मैं भी हिंदी बोलती हूँ, बहुत अच्छी हिंदी बोलती हूँ. लेकिन हिंदी में ये किताबें हैं, मुझे इस बारे में ज़्यादा ज्ञान नहीं है कि फिल्म सिनेमा पे हिंदी में और थ्योरी पे बुक्स हैं, तो मुझे इसका कुछ ज्ञान नहीं है. लेकिन अगर इन किताबों का रूपांतरण हुआ है, अंग्रेजी अनुवाद हुआ है अंग्रेजी से हिंदी में, तो हो सकता है हुआ हो, लेकिन अगर किताबें हैं तो मुझे नहीं पता. ओके, लेकिन हम बाद में बात कर सकते हैं विकास इस बारे में, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं. मजूमदार इज आस्किंग, व्हाट्स योर नेम? सुमंता मजूमदार. ओके, क्वेश्चन ओवर स्क्रीनप्ले. यस, question over screenplay. What is a screenplay? It's the way, sometimes you have the story, and so the story is very, like we all know what's a story. तो वो तो कहानी हो गई. But how to translate or transfer that story on screen, that is called screenplay. Screenplay में dialogues वगैरह भी आ जाते हैं. You give all the dialogues also in a good screenplay. I would suggest you read a book by Sid Field, Sydfield. That is a basic entry point learning about screenplays. So if you want to do a good understanding of screenplay, then I think Sid Field is the go-to person. Okay. I have a question from Kaushan. Dev Das is in love with Paro. Later on, Dev comes in touch with Chandramukhi. What nature of love? So, what's the nature of love? Devdas is definitely not in love with Chandramukhi, although she falls in love with him. It's a love that is never consummated. Okay, Devdas never consummates his love with both these women, Chandramukhi and Paro. It's a platonic kind of relationship. Do you think Paro still loves Devdas after her marriage? What do you think? I mean, it's. Do you think even Sharat Chandra has left it open ended? I don't think so. She marries because both of them are hot headed, arrogant to some extent, and there is some kind of a communication gap between them. Okay, and they are of the same age, and both of them have lot of ego. And he says something to her, and she says, "Okay, I am going to. I'll never come back to you," etc. And then they both suffer at the end. Although she lives on, but her life is also okay. It's not a happy life, definitely. So, does she still love Devdas after her marriage? And you have seen so many movies. I think you should be able to understand whether love of Devdas for Paro is termed as eternal. I think so. Yes, I think that's the way it is. I think yes, absolutely. Vikram, which resource book should I rely for my SBI book for English preparation? I think I have answered this question earlier. And I haven't submitted assignments. Oh, I don't know. Because assignments class, this is a common response to everyone, a common advice to all of you. Please, please, please submit your assignments on time. There is no way that we can fool around with, or we can, it's not fool around. I know there could be genuine problems, but no, NPTEL doesn't encourage delay in submission of assignments. And I will go according to their, because they are the boss and we can't go against them. So it's not up to me that please let me submit. NPTEL says no, then it's no. So you better submit on time. That's it. Okay, so Vyomesh is asking what approach would you recommend to have a career in filmmaking? Okay, see, and is it important to be educated? Yes, it is important. Please let me tell you that many of the filmmakers that I have come in contact with, they read a lot. They read a lot. Okay, and they travel a lot. They travel a lot. They read a lot. They have wide range of interests. You can talk to them about a variety of things. They know a great deal about music. Many of them nowadays, younger generation of filmmakers, they are very well educated. Many of them are engineers. Okay, they have been to good universities and colleges. Some of them are also educated at foreign universities and all, and then they want to make films. So, yes, education helps. It will give you a better perspective, it will open your mind. And if you are exposed to world cinema, all the more better. It will reflect in your quality of the kind of films that you want to make. And a career in filmmaking, it is always a good idea to join theater, meet people who write about films or make films or direct films. And if you join theater, you will come across many people in the same, because going straight to film line is a very difficult thing. It takes time. It's a very competitive industry. But if you join theater and all, you will find people who would, or you join film school maybe, then you will meet people who can guide you in a better way. Arjun is asking, when watching a new filmmaker's film, should you start with the best work, or you ease into their work by starting with something what? Karthik, I'm not able to get this question. Karthik, number 17 is a long question. Yeah. Then Prasad is asking, okay, all right, let me answer Arjun first. When watching a new filmmaker, ease into their work by starting with something more approachable. Arjun, what's this question? When watching a new filmmaker's film, should you start with their best work? If it's a new filmmaker, then how do you know this is the best work? Or you ease into their work by starting with something more approachable? New filmmaker to you. I think so. I think that's what you mean. That a filmmaker is new to you. Okay. It depends. Because, see, what to say? I would go by the reputation of the film. I want to watch Kurosawa, Japanese filmmaker, I would start with Rashomon. It's a tough movie. It's a difficult movie, but I enjoyed it. Okay, and I have also read a lot before watching Rashomon. I knew the reputation, so I knew that this is a great movie I'm going to watch, and I have to be, so it takes a lot of dedication, film watching. If you're watching a serious movie, you have to be in that frame of mind. You can't just watch, okay, let me buy popcorn and I have nothing else to do. I will keep on texting messages to my friends and I'll say, okay, I have nothing else to do, but I'll movies going on. I'm talking, chatting with my friend on the cell phone. That won't do. You have to. I mean, you miss out on a lot of things. The other day, I was watching Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I'm sure all of you have watched it. Okay, you miss out on, and I was watching it at home. So you know nowadays how things are. So if you're at home, people are at home, and you get distracted and whatnot. So many things at home happening and you miss out on a lot. But when I watched the same movie in theater, then I enjoyed it infinitely much more because there were no distractions. So I think you have to practice the way. See, if you're reading a book, you have to give your 100%. Same with movies. So I would suggest that don't just look at that. Should I watch an easy movie or a tough movie? Whatever is the best. If you think I want to watch Tarantino, but I think Pulp Fiction would be very difficult to watch, easier movie would be, let's say, Reservoir Dogs. I would say no, you start with Pulp Fiction. Why not? And then you will understand what kind of, because that will give you the idea, the kind of filmmaker Tarantino is, right? Okay, so Sahi Prasad, he is asking, do all movies have subtext? Yes. And why can't filmmakers tell what they want to say directly? They do that all the time. They do that all the time. Please watch Suraj Barjatya ji's movies. He tells you all the time what is, yeah. So you watch a movie like Vivaha in Hindi, okay, or Hum Saath Saath Hain. It is very clear what he is trying to tell you. Okay, परिवार में सबको मिलजुल के रहना है. That he believes in the great joint Indian family, and that's his worldview, which is fine, and he tells you that directly, right? But if you watch, let's say, a movie like Eight and a Half by Fellini, he doesn't tell you at all directly. There is a lot of subtext happening. It talks about process of filmmaking, process of writing, process of creativity, midlife crisis, but all these things are not said. Yeah, and then also about Italian men's attitude towards women, how they treat their women. So that's another subtext. So in my view, an important film, if a film, by important film, let's say we are students of film studies, so let's not beat around the bush. When we talk about important films, we are talking about films that will stand the test of time. 100 years from now, people should be able to say this was one of the greatest films ever made. Citizen Kane is still ranked as one of the 100 best films ever made. Because Citizen Kane has never come down from, fallen down out of first 10 movies. It was number one for several decades. Then now perhaps it's second or third, but it always remains in top 10 ever made. And Citizen Kane was made in 1940 or 41. How many years are that? 80 years? Watch the movie. You still feel the director's commitment and passion. And there are so many subtexts. The way Orson Welles has directed the movie, it's a textbook. Okay, he's not telling you anything directly. He's not saying that, okay, let's not be ambitious. Although that's what he wants to, but he won't tell you that directly. Okay, so a, a great movie is always that leaves some things unsaid. Okay, question is, can you suggest few sites and forum from where I can watch European short films? Okay, so short films and old films. See, I'll tell you. Usually, I go to YouTube, okay, and even if I'm not trying to, something comes up. Beautiful stuff comes up. Films that I have never heard of, those titles come up. Okay, and they are mostly short films and a lot of old films. Like right now, I'm watching a lot of Guru Dutt movies. Guru Dutt was a great Hindi filmmaker. I'm watching a lot of Guru Dutt movies, and there are a lot of film noir, Hollywood noir titles that I wasn't even aware of. They are there. You go to YouTube, and if you start watching a couple of films, I think the net has a way of reading uh, uh, your viewing habits, and I think it will come from there. So I'm very sure. I'm very sure it will. You will. Yeah. So you go to YouTube and maybe just key in European cinema, Hungarian cinema, Romanian cinema. They make great movies and short movies. I mean, I remember I was at FTII, and the kind of exposure I had to world cinema. I went there for it's a 4 weeks course called Film Appreciation course. I went there, and the kind of movies that they should expose you to is phenomenal. And I'm not talking about all the well-known and great movies. I'm talking about the shorts. That's something that you are talking about. So yes, you have to. So thank you. I get Vikas. Thank you, Vikas Atal. Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay. There's a question by Selvam Xavier. How to learn to write plays and drama? How to learn to write plays and drama? Any course available? I think, Samuel, the once upon a time British Council used to do this. At least British Council in Chennai, they had very good creative writing courses and classes. I haven't attended, but some of my students had attended those, and they found it very good. Thank you, Vikas. Thank you. Selvam, how important is plays and drama? How to learn to write plays and drama? Any course? Yes, I think face to face we have. I can think of British Council. There are some colleges and universities that offer creative writing courses, which is very good. And so there you can learn. But why not just go to the YouTube and learn? Because there are lots of courses available on YouTube nowadays, and some of them are free of charge, of course, but there are some courses that charge nominal fee, and they do a lot of good work in teaching how to write plays and dramas. I think it's the facilities is there. You can look it up. I mean, nowadays to get information about something is quite easy, so you can. Yeah. So what I would suggest is the books that most of you were asking for. Um, yes, so Oxford Handbook of Film Studies, John Hill and Pamela Church Gibson. That is something I would recommend. There is also a very good book called Introduction to Film Studies. I will give you the title. It's a textbook by someone called Jill Helms, Jill, and Nelms, Nelmes, Jill Nelms, Introduction to Film Studies. So, you may please look these two textbooks. Lot of things or lot of theories that you want to know about, it's available there. Nowadays, there are wonderful courses also, yeah, like YouTube uh, kind of videos available that do a lot of explanation of films. I came across something called The Take, Take. The Take explains a lot of movies. So they were one day I watched. They were explaining some movie by Martin Scorsese. I think Goodfellas or The Raging Bull. I forgot, but it was quite good. The explanation was quite good. So the Take is one place that you can, if you want to know more about, individual films in great depth. So they do that, and it's a good way, and it's done quite well. Raj Kumar wants to know, I am a film student. Where are you studying, Raj Kumar? And I want to know how to develop the aesthetic of film editing. Uh, Raj Kumar, I just mentioned Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and there is a scene, if you remember, that Leo, who is acting in a western, cowboy movie with that little girl who is a very, very good actor. She says that, I mean, she's very well prepared, and Leo is there, and Leo keeps forgetting his lines. And he becomes frustrated and he goes into his van, and then he starts yelling at himself. He's very, agitated, not just agitated, but furious with himself. And he says that, if I don't get my lines and if I don't perform well today, I'm just going home. I'm going to blow my brains out today. And then the way Tarantino shoots the scene, the editing technique is called jump cut. Now, Leo is in an agitated state of mind, so you're not going to have that long, leisurely shot, okay, where everything is good. He is in a, yeah, so the camera keeps closing in on him. He's in this very constrained space of his van. You don't have, naturally it's a van, it's a makeup van, but anyway it's a van, so not much place to move about. And like a caged tiger, he's pacing up and down, literally hating himself. And look at the way the Tarantino uses or deploys the technique of jump cut. I think that is wonderful. Sometimes jump cut is a much abused and misused editing technique. Godard used it very effectively in Breathless. And then, of course, in Hollywood, in Bonnie and Clyde and Easy Riders, they used it to suggest the disturbed state of mind of the characters. Characters on the edge. And Tarantino does the same here. Character is on the edge, and therefore this jump cut. But now jump cut is used in every, anywhere, just for making a fashionable statement. So I think we have to be very careful. When you're using jump cut, pay attention to what you're trying to do. Are you just trying to be stylish, or you really want to communicate something? Tarantino does both. He's a stylish, so there is a stylized kind of storytelling as well as it's absolutely necessary there. But if it's a long pan shot or is that long take that Scorsese uses in Goodfellas, when Ray Liotta's character, he walks inside that restaurant with his girlfriend, camera follows Ray Liotta, and it's like without a break. It keeps on going on and on and on and on and chasing the character relentlessly. Absolutely fascinated by this character. I think if you are trying to suggest that, because the character is not agitated, so jump cut wouldn't suit there. Long take would, because your Scorsese in Goodfellas is showing you a way of life. So it's important that it's a long take. So therefore, Okay. So I hope I have responded to your query on editing. So it depends on how you. Why do you call yourself failure? How to make film like Tevar Magan? Is it that Kamal Hassan movie? It's not Tevar Mankan, it's Tevar Mahan, right? How to make film like that? So you have to have a director like that, right? And you have to have an actor like that. So film is not made in a vacuum. Firstly, remember that film is a collaborative art. If you have been watching my lectures, you will realize that this is what I said in the very beginning. Cinema is not about individuals. We may love stars. We may love Kamal Hassan or Rajnikant or maybe Dilip Kumar or Amitabh Bachchan. But think of the great directors. Think of the great supporting actors, not just the beautiful stars on screen, but also the directors, the dialogue writers, the screenplay writers, the technicians. So, films are a collaborative art, and films are made in collaboration with people. So only stars don't make. So you want to make a movie like Teva Magan, it is an art. It has to be practiced. The director of Tevar Magan, remember that. That was not his first movie, right? That was not his first movie. And I think it was a 92 movie, not 95, because if I remember it correctly, in 96 we had Virasat. If you're talking about the same Tevar Magan, I mean Kamal Hassan movie, it's a 92 movie. But in 96 or 97, it was made by, with Anil Kapoor doing Kamal Hassan's role. And I think it was directed by Priyadarshan in Hindi. The Tamil version was directed by Bharatan, I think. But Kamal Hassan was absolutely important to the, and of course, you had the great Shivaji Ganeshan. So it was a combination of all these great factors. I mean, if someone asked me how to make a movie like Nayakan, so then Mani Ratnam at his best, Kamal Hassan at his peak, okay, and all the other people, who have collaborated in that movie. So think of that, and it's a combination. So that's what I can say, that it's a combination. Read a lot. If you say story, how to develop stories, please read a lot, and not just from your own language, but keep your horizons wide. For instance, read whatever is available, in the sense that read Russian literature in translation, read British literature in translation. You will find a lot of stuff. Film is a pervert art which tells you how to desire not what you desire. Okay, 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 okay. Well, Shorjo, pervert art which tells you how to desire and what to desire. Well, good. It's a nice statement. Well, Karthik, I need to see this number 34 question. Karthik, I need to see number 34 question. Austere films, are they? Austere films are like just reading the dialogues from screenplay. For instance, the film Ashad Ka Ek Din. Okay, okay. So, what's the question here? Vyomesh, if there is a question, I mean, you are telling us that they are reading the screenplays, okay, from the screen, but is there a question? Okay, fine. So there are several genres of realism. Like, for example, Vyomesh is telling us about austere films, like reading the dialogues without expressions, without any narration, and they are austere. But I would also, in a film appreciation course, I talk about a director called रॉबर्ट ब्रेसों. ये फ्रेंच लैंग्वेज के डायरेक्टर हैं, फ्रांस के डायरेक्टर हैं, रॉबर्ट ब्रेसों. तो इनकी एक स्टाइल थी फिल्म बनाने की कि ये बिल्कुल बिल्कुल स्ट्रेट नरेशन देते थे, और इनके कैरेक्टर्स जो थे, जो भी इनके किरदार होते थे, इनके पात्रों के चेहरों पर कोई भाव नहीं होते थे, और वो एक it was like a very deliberate attempt to approach acting. And so what he would do, he would pick people who were not professional actors. कोई जाने माने अभिनेता नहीं, कोई ऐसे लोगों को लेते थे वो जो जिनका एक्टिंग से कुछ ज्यादा सरोकार नहीं होता था. तो ऐसे लोग, and he would just put them in front of the camera and then he would make them act. And naturally, they were not trained people, trained actors, so they couldn't emote much. And Grayson would say that, look, this is acting at its most naturalistic. असली जिंदगी में लोगों के चेहरों पे उतने हाव भाव नहीं आते, ये आपने भी देखा होगा. अब आप अगर कोई टीवी सीरीज देखे, जैसे आजकल आते रहते हैं सास बहू वाले, तो कितने एक्सप्रेशन, देयर इज लाइक फ्लड ऑफ एक्सप्रेशंस एंड इमोशंस. दैट्स नॉट रियल लाइफ, राइट? व्हाट ब्रेसॉन वाज ट्राइंग टू से इज ऑस्टेरिटी. So austerity in Bresson is important. Now, austerity in Bresson is different from what Vyomesh is saying. So it's not literally reading out from the screenplay or just narrating the dialogue. They would act, etc. They would act. However, it wouldn't be the over-the-top kind of acting. Another important contribution was that he just didn't like using background music. Okay, so you wouldn't know what to think here, because हमारी फिल्मों में क्या होता है, much of the background music is used to convey an emotion, na? That you are supposed to cry here, you are supposed to laugh here. You have that canned laughter also in many of these TV reality shows and programs, that they're telling us where to laugh, they're telling us where to applaud. So people like Bresson, who believed in this art of austere cinema, so they did away with overtly expressive kind of acting and background music. So therefore, Bresson's cinema is called the cinema of austerity. Okay. Thank you, Rajkumar. I am from Indore, Madhya Pradesh, therefore my Hindi is good. How to improve cinematography? Oh, I was reading a book by this cinematographer. I don't. Give me a moment, I will recall his name. It is an excellent book. Anyway, okay, not forget it. I'll come back to it. So, how to improve cinematography? Okay, how to improve cinematography? What I feel is that cinematography is not just about beautiful locations. And if you talk to any of the great, or if you listen to any of the very, some of the very successful and very good filmmakers, they will tell you that it is not important to have beautiful, colorful shots in every scene, but it should flow with the story. Okay, so that's the idea, that cinematography should be in conformity with the plot, with the story. It shouldn't be uh, it shouldn't be standing on its own. So if you watch Satyajit Ray's cinema, or if you watch Guru Dutt's cinema, okay, they would always work with their own set of cinematographers, and they would know exactly what emotions to convey through the camera. So idea was not to make people look prettier and make the sets or locations look prettier. So that is not good cinematography. Cinematography is that how you help the director communicate his vision on screen. How to become actress? I wouldn't know. I'm sorry. Okay. Karthik, I want to see this question. Number 38. Number 38. Karthik, hey, you were talking about subtext and that all great movies have them. But critics say films like Pulp Fiction have no message subtext within them, and they are still considered great. Well, yeah. So you say people talk about what is subtext after all? Okay, if you think that Pulp Fiction doesn't have a subtext, you know what is theater of the absurd? So in English, there is something called theater of the absurd, which is like life doesn't have any meaning or structure and cause and effect. See, there was this great dramatist called Aristotle. Aristotle says that a story should have a logic, and it should have a beginning, middle, and an end, and in that order. But Tarantino says no, and it should have a middle, and it should have an end and then a beginning. And this is what Godard actually had taught us in modern terms, that there should be beginning, middle, and end, but not in that order. So for Aristotle, देखो जो those who understand हिंदी के शुरुआत होती है, फिर बीच में होता है, फिर अंत होता है, ऐसे बिल्कुल sequentially जाना चाहिए. But Pulp Fiction subtext is that life is meaningless, inherently meaningless. We do, and life is a lot of, it's not that good people are rewarded and bad people are punished. Okay, so there's no sense of poetic justice, there's no sense of logic. That's the subtext. The subtext doesn't necessarily mean that you're communicating a great message or great moral message. That's not what is happening. Okay, but still, I mean, what is the subtext of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? Two middle-aged actors, or two middle-aged men hitting midlife crisis and coming to terms with it. That's the subtext. It's not just about an actor who is failing and then what happens to him. See, even at the end of the movie, it's not like he becomes a superstar. But there is a subtext that two middle-aged men who have hit midlife crisis and how they are coping with it. One man who has nothing, absolutely nothing, Brad Pitt, who lives in a trailer van, right? Okay, he's actually happy, much happier, and he is enjoying life much more than the guy who is a star, although in B movies, but who has a great house, big house with a swimming pool and all that. But he's always on the verge of a breakdown. And the stunt man, his double, he's having more fun with life. That's the idea. So there is a subtext. So there is always a subtext. And this is the last question. How to convert a story and frame the screenplay? Shakti. So, I suggest that you read a couple of plays, drama. Read a couple of dramas and plays. And when you get a sense of dialogue, संवाद कैसे बोलते हैं, dialogue कैसे बोलते हैं, I think you will be able to convert your story into a good screenplay. Because drama is all about developing characters. There's so many. It's not like a story. A novel tells you a lot about the characters, but in drama they have to come and speak something, right? and you have to give them a stage and setting and all. And that's what a play does, and that's what a screenplay does. So I think a good entry point would be to read a couple of good plays. Read Bernard Shaw. Okay, read Arthur Miller. Read Eugene O'Neill. Read Clifford Odets. These are the great playwrights. From Hindi, yeah, read Mohan Rakesh. Couple of, there are a lot here. Girish Karnad. Girish Karnad was not just a great actor and a director, he was also a playwright. So, it helps. So, if you approach your craft, develop your craft that way. Don't just look. I mean, one advice I would give you, all of you young people, you may come across very successful people in life. Don't think they have become successful in any field, acting or whatever. It's not like it is an overnight thing. You have to practice and polish your craft, and once you are successful, it's hard, is an uphill task to keep on improving yourself. So it is that important. It is important to keep on practicing and honing your art. And this is my last question number 24. Khosla Ka Ghosla. I love that film. Can you tell certain aspects of the film which makes it so beautiful? I'll tell you what, Shri Hari. Khosla Ka Khosla Dibakar Banerjee ki first film thi. I'm sure you know that. First film by the great director Dibakar Banerjee. And when Divakar was making Khosla Ka Ghosla, it is a very realistic movie. It's a movie that in the 70s was made by the likes of Rishikesh Mukherjee and Basu Chatterjee. Okay, and it's the simplicity, the reality. It's the everydayness of the film that struck the chord with the audience. You feel like, yes, हमारे घर में भी ऐसे ही होता है, ये हो सकता है, किसी के लैंड ग्रैबिंग हो सकती है. We all know that there is an entire, land sharks होते हैं. They take away your land because you couldn't, by force, by might, by corruption, they will take away what is yours. And all of us have gone through something like that. At least we know of people who have gone through like that. So it was the realism of the story that struck a chord with people. So I think if you like Khosla Ka Ghosla, you have to also thank the predecessors like Rishikesh Mukherjee and Basu Chatterjee. The dialogue, the acting, the screenplay, everything was very, very, it's a top-notch kind of a, yeah. And the best thing is that it didn't have two great stars or any great music or something, very, expensive locations and all. It was like shot on the location kind of thing. Delhi ki language hai, Delhi based film hai. Okay, so true to the milieu, true to the landscape, true to the character. So I think that it's a combination of factors that made the movie good. So, Karthik? Yes. Yes, yes. So thank you very much, class. We are going to meet next month again. So bring more questions. And what I'll do, I will send you a list of books via email on the discussion forum. I will some list of suggested readings. So take care and keep watching the lectures, and please keep submitting the assignments on time. We'll meet again next month. Thank you. Bye bye. Karthik?